Well, hello and welcome back to Hold and Modify, YouTube's most poorly produced, underproduced Amiga channel. And yes, it is your host, your very thankful host Q. And today, this is going to be a software video. So if any of you are still watching after me saying that, I appreciate it and thank you so much. I always look forward to your comments on these videos, and I know some of you really appreciate these. And I also love all the stories some of you guys tell me in the comment section below. You guys have some amazing Amiga stories and also software-related, art stories, and I love hearing that stuff, and so does everybody else. But anyway, what I wanted to do was cover a fun little topic about how to get 3D landscapes out of programs like VistaPro into other programs like Lightwave or Imagine or Sculpt Animate 4D. I am, of course, going to cover Lightwave, but VistaPro is this really, amazing landscape generation program. And sure, we all love it. And you can load up a dem here, and I'll go ahead and mount St. Helens after, kind of a classic. And we'll go ahead and turn on some kind of default happy, fun things. And we'll go to the graphics modes and make sure that, we're in Yummy Ham 8, and 320 by 200 is fine for now. Go ahead and click render. And sure enough, there we go. So we get this nice mountain. It's very pretty. It's got the nice snow and dirt and grass. But, doing anything else in VistaPro, like especially animating or trying to integrate it with other effects or other objects, maybe you have a spaceship or a helicopter, an airplane or buildings. And while it does have some rudimentary tools, there's really a desire to get this data into a program like Lightwave. So you can do that, and you can end up with something like this. Now, this is not meant to blow your socks off, and it won't. It's actually very simple, but it's meant to illustrate how you can then export from VistaPro into Lightwave and get, you can start working on your own little world. So here we have some terrain, the Mount St. Helens terrain. I added some water and a little sky there. And of course, being Lightwave, there's a lot more you can do with this. You can have much more freedom with the camera to fly around it and experiment and add all the wonderful effects that Lightwave has and other objects and items. But this is just to give you an idea of how do you get from VistaPro to here so that you can even do this. You could model this yourself. You could create this in the Lightwave modeling program, but that would take a lot of work. There's a lot of polygons there, and it's a lot of detail. It's very time consuming, and gosh, wouldn't it just be great if we could just come back over to VistaPro, grab this. So the first thing you need to know is you can't just export this entire landscape. If you did, you would blow up your computer and all of time and space would fold in half. So unfortunately, yeah, the dem data is just, even this older, simpler dem data is just too much for most 3D software to handle of this era. And remember, folks, this is the late 80s, early 90s era we are discussing here. Okay, so what you need to do is go up here and click Save, VistaPro Dem, give it a name. I'm gonna go ahead and put this up somewhere where I can get to it very, very easily. Let's just dump it in the root of work. And I'm gonna call it, let's call it test.dem. Click enter. Now it says save entire landscape. This is the important part. You're going to say no. It's now going to have you mark a region to save. Now, I don't have the manual with me, and I thought, is there a way to change the size of this region? Unfortunately, I don't have a VistaPro 3 manual, and I've not been able to find one that talks about this. So like if you just click, it's going to save the file right now as soon as you click. If you right click, it drops it down and lets you move it, but it doesn't do anything. If you left click and hold, it just says saving landscape. That's it. It just saves it. Like I don't know how to set that size. So that's a little frustrating, and I wish I could share that with you, but guess what? Those of you watching, if you know how to do it or you find out, you can leave a comment below. It's very appreciated. And as always, I will pin that comment. So now that we've saved that dem, we can come over here and hit quit. And you're like, okay, well, do we just go into Lightwave now and load it? Unfortunately, no. You're going to need a third piece of software, and that's Interchange. It's called Interchange Plus, and there's a version 1, a 2, and a 3. They are available if you go out there and look. It's a piece of software that allows you to convert 3D object formats from various packages to various packages. It's super, super convenient. The interface is a little bizarre, to say the least. We're going to go ahead and say work. That'll take us right to work. There's our test dem. it's important that you don't just click. You have to double click so that it knows what's going on. You're then going to go down here in this list and you're going to find the Lightwave object format. You can see there's lots of formats here. So here's Lightwave object format. This is so old that the Lightwave object format back then is called .lw. You've often seen me save objects with the 3 padding extension of .lwo, and I still recommend that you do that. And then we're going to go ahead and pick the drawer and then click the format. And now it knows what it's doing. It knows it's going to write the object to work. And when you click drawer, obviously you could create your own folder here if you'd like. It knows it's going to do the format of .lw, which is the Lightwave object format. It's just a little weird program. The way it's written is that, the fact that you have to like double click the dem file for it to show up. You have to click drawer, you have to click format, otherwise it doesn't show up. It's a little janky that way, but that's it. That's the extent of what you need to do with this program. You click convert, and then you wait. Waiting is fun. Oh yes, we love waiting. Please, wait some more. Oh, I love waiting so much. I want to wait. Wait. Please let me wait. So you can now quit the program. Yay, thank you, program. And let's go to Modeler. Go to load. Click on the little volumes button. Here's a cute volumes button. Go to work. And let's find where we put it. Where did we put this thing at? All right, so as you can see, the dem file was 19K. The saved Lightwave object is 668K. Whoa! So as you can see, it's pretty hefty duty. So we're going to hit A to auto center and modeler, and look at all those points. Oh my gosh. So we'll go up to display, options, preview type. We'll do moving solid, click OK. And up here in the corner at some point, you're going to see this super dense thing of points and polygons start wiggling back and forth. Isn't that exciting? There are so many points, though, that you just can't see anything. It's just kind of pointless. So one of the things we're going to do is go here and delete these points because we don't need them. And one of the things I noticed right away is I'm seeing a lot of weird lines on here. But you know what? Let's just go ahead and say save as. And let's, you know what? Actually, we don't even need to say save as. We can just say save. We're going to do the, well, it's going to take me to the Lightwave content folder, isn't it? Yeah. We're going to overwrite this file. Something I normally never do, but I'm going to do it, and you're going to watch me do it. Oh, Q, you naughty, naughty boy. Okay, let's go to Lightwave. Yay, Lightwave. Let's get ourselves into Lightwave. Go to Objects, Load. Go ahead and load that up. We'll just do a real simple trick. We'll just turn on smoothing to make sure it looks smooth and not, like the Genesis planet from Star Trek 2. And the first thing I notice is that here's our center of the world. It's way off over here. Okay, that's already a little weird. I don't like that. But, we can move the camera up and get it over here. And again, this is a very dense, very chunky mesh, very heavy mesh as we call it. So it's you're not going to see it. Oh, there it goes. I just redrew. It's going to take a little bit to redraw. And one of the things you can do to help yourself with that is go to the scene editor and tell it to only show the points. Okay, points there. And I've covered stuff like this in previous videos. So there we go. Now we can kind of see what's going on. Okay, so that looks okay. Let's go ahead and press, let's make sure our camera isn't dumb as always. And it was set to something dumb. All right, let's go ahead and press F9. And there you go. It looks grow. No. What is up with the Tron lines, you might ask yourself? Yeah, so Lightwave has this thing, and it's really unique to Lightwave. And it's called 2-point polygons and single-point polygons. They are basically not polygons, but they are. Lightwave has the ability to render points as a polygon and lines as a polygon, even though technically they should only exist as like wireframes and illustrative things. So it's really kind of an annoying thing. But right away from the get-go, by the way, look at this. How cool is that? You've got the dem file of Mount St. Helens in Lightwave already. So that's progress. But obviously, we've got to go back and fix something. So to get rid of those lines, because unfortunately the modeler program doesn't have all the tools needed to do it, you're going to have to go back to our little converter guy here, go back to the dem file, got to start all over again. I know. Why didn't I do it right the first time? So that you can learn. So we're going to double click here, and that's what we're going to make sure. We're going to go down and find our Lightwave format. Yay, Lightwave. This time we're going to tell it to Don't convert lone points, which is, that means the little tiny, all those little white dots you saw, all these little guys, let's go back here. All these guys here, actually here, if any of these don't belong to a polygon, it's not going to export it. The other thing, we don't want it to export lone edges. That's why you're seeing all those lines in the mesh. You're going to tell it, don't do that, please. Please just don't do that. So that's what we're going to do there. We're going to go ahead and say drawer, format, Lightwave, boom, 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 good to go. And we're going to say convert. And sure enough, there it goes, test dem. Okay. Now we're going to go back to our beautiful modeler program, say new, click OK, go load. Volumes work. Volumes work. Or workbench. You can click on workbench too. Doesn't really help us though. And we're going to find it somehow. There it is. And look how it's smaller, see? Because it didn't export all those extra lines, so it's a little smaller. Click OK. We're still going to have those extra points down there that we're going to go ahead and just get rid of. And because the object is way up in the air, because here's the 0, 0 down here, it's like way up in the air. We're going to press F1, which will center it up. I promise it will eventually. There we go. Okay, so now it's centered up. We're going to say save, which means just overwrite. Right? Yes, test.dem. Good. I'm always second guessing myself. We're going to go to object and we're just going to say replace. Because we didn't save it before with the changes, we'll turn our smoothing back on. Click continue, press F. Oh, look, it's moved because we centered it. So now we got to take the camera and get the camera centered back. There we go. Kind of get the camera up here. Doing a camera thing. And let's angle. Oh, Mr. Light, please come back. Let's have Mr. Light kind of rotate this way a little more. Give us a little more downward raking look. Okay, let's press F9. Boom, look at that. Yay! No more weird lines, and it's like it's all covered in snow. Okay. So there you go. I mean, you could stop the video there. That's what you need. Interchange plus, and then you can get your VistaPro dems or any dem files you may find into any of the 3D programs that it supports. And of course, Lightwave being my choice. Now, we could leave it at that, or we could, try and, juice up this image a little bit. So let's do that. I'm going to add some sky stuff. Let's make our light here. Let's get rid of that gross ambient light. Let's set this spotlight, shadow map. We're going to do nice and fuzzy, and we're going to make it not need as many memory bits to do its memory thingies. And we're going to give it a little bit of a yellow color. And let's tighten up the sunbeam a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to go up here under the light view and go, hello, Mr. Light. Make sure you can see all of this beautiful mountain thing. And you're like, yes, you can. Okay, now let's give it a new name too. Let's call it something we'll remember. How about sun? And then let's clone it. And on the clone, we're going to call it fill. Or let's do what I always do, right? Fill, yeah, fill. And we're going to give this one a little more memory and a lot more fuzz. And we're going to take the intensity way, way, way down. There we go. And let's give it kind of a soft, kind of a blue, kind of a nice blue. That might be too bright of a blue, but you know what? We'll start with that blue. And we're going to widen it out a bit. I have videos, by the way, that cover all of these little settings I'm doing. So if you go back through my Lightwave videos, you'll find all of these videos explaining all of this good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and move this back over here. I'm just trying to give you guys a little kind of bonus material here for, I showed you the bulk. I showed you what the point of this video was getting dem files into Lightwave, but this is just kind of the, let's sex it up a little bit here. So now we're going to do, we don't need to trace shadows or anything because we're using spotlights, and we've got some gradient backdrop turned on. So here we go. There we go. So now we're starting to get somewhere. Little chunkulicious over here. Kind of fix that with some shadow map softening maybe. That's the key light. What we might want to try here is that sun. I may need to crank that up. I may I may need to crank that up a lot, actually. Let's see here. Let's see if that fixes it. Yeah, okay, so there you go. I got rid of the chunky-liciousness. All right, so we've got rid of that. So now we've got this nice kind of moody, shadowed in there light. One of the things we can do is make the landscape not white, right? Let's go to surface. Actually, let's go to images, load. Let's load up one of my favorite kind of generic things. Derp, derp, doop, doo, boop, boop, boo. Do-do-do, looking for stuff. Check the landscape folder. That's probably where it's gonna be. All right, surface, Mount St. Helens, Washington. It actually gave it that surface name all on its own from the dem file. Thank you for that, by the way. We're gonna do planar on the y-axis. We're gonna auto size, and then we're just gonna smash F9 and see what that looks like. Ooh, it's got some life to it now, doesn't it? Hey, look at that. Boom. There you go. Now you're an Amiga artist in the late 80s. Look at that. Andy Warhol, eat your heart out, right? Okay, now. So we can leave it at this for now. One of the things we can try is do a little more, let's give some bumpiness to it because it is a terrain thing. Let's do our classic, let's do crumple. And let's go ahead and give it a lot of scales and a lot of small power. And let's really crank it up. Let's go to like 75. And let's make the size something gigantic. That's not gigantic. Keep in mind this is a huge object, right? Because it's a dem file, so the scale is really, really large. In fact, I probably should have scaled it down in Modeler before doing this, so I'm not having to work with such large scales, but Lightwave does a pretty good job of handling scale, so that's why it's not too much of an issue. Okay, that looks, well, there, yeah, you can see some bump in there, but you know what it is? It's probably still way too small. One of the quickest and fastest things you could do, I could just go into bump and go back to planar image, pick the same image we used for the color texture, click automatic sizing, and go ahead and just smash F9. And this is going to use the color map to do the bump map. Let's see if that gives us anything. Yeah, not really. So the issue here is, folks, and this is my fault. I'm going to go ahead and save this object, okay, because we've done a lot to it. And I'm actually going to go ahead and save this scene. We're going to call it test Helen sure.lws. So what I'm going to do is go back into Modeler here. And I'll go new, click OK. We're going to reload this because it is gigantic. It's just freaking huge. So I'm going to go ahead and hit D for display, turn off point mode so we don't have to see those points. This way it'll draw faster. I'm going to go Shift H, and I'm going to just click anywhere, kind of sort of in the middle here, and just scale this thing down. Because it is gigantic. If you look in the lower left here, see where it says 500 meters? That means one of these squares is 500 meters. 500 by 500 meters. So yeah, I mean, it's like a real world dem file. It's just gigantic, which is just silly. Scale it way down, click A to auto frame. Now we're at 100 meters per square. We're going to go ahead and scale this down even more because this is the land of 3D make-believe. Now we're at 20 meters per square. That's a little more reasonable. I'm still going to go smaller. Okay, now we're at about 10 meters. That's more reasonable. Press F1 to center it up again, since we've moved it all over the place. Go to Objects, click Save just to overwrite it. Now, what do you think is going to happen when we go back to Lightwave? It's going to get really small. If I could remember how to get back to Lightwave. Okay, so click Replace, same object. Boink, there it goes. If you look over here, the grid size is set to 2000. So I'm going to use the bracket keys to get us down. Well, actually, let's get the camera moved in first, because this will affect how fast you can move the camera. It's one of the awesome things about Lightwave. You can control the speed of how things move and the accuracy and the detail, almost like the DPI setting on a mouse, using the bracket keys and changing this grid size. So now that we're close, I'm going to go ahead and lower this even more to like every square here is 20 meters. That's the size we're in right now. So this is a little more easy to manage with the mouse. Or like I said, it's kind of like a DPI control. That's another way to describe it. So here we go. We have our nice wide landscape lens. Okay. So now that we've made a more normal sized object, we're going to have to go ahead and smash auto size again. We could go back to bump, and you know what? I bet if we did crumple, I'm going to really crank the crumple setting. I'm going to go to like 150%. Yeah, you can go over 100%, by the way. So now look, it automatically converted those sizes. Look how big it is now. It's obnoxious. All right, so now let's do 100. I'm going to make it slightly taller than it is wide, and because it's kind of like, you know, rock or something. Press F9. Okay. Still don't really see much in the way of that bump. And one of the things you can do, by the way, is you go to the surface editor, and if you click Shift on a T, it'll remove the texture. Shift and T, or Shift and left click, it'll remove the texture. This is going to allow me to see more clearly just exactly what this crumple texture is doing, if anything, because it doesn't seem like it's even showing up. It might just be too big still. So now we're really going to scale it down. There you go. Now you see the crumple. It was just too big. That's how big the mountain was before. Okay, so now we're starting to get that crumple look. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually going to make it a little bigger overall. And then I'm really going to crank that Y size. And then I'm going to take this back down to like 80. And let's bring up the scales to like 7. And let's set this to 0.85. So again, I'm just doing really basic stuff here to kind of give it like a rocky look. Okay, so there we go. We kind of have that basic rocky look. We can go back to the surface editor. We can quickly drop this back on here. And then what we can do if we want to get a little fancy is go load. And let's see, Lightwave objects. I think I have some water here already made. Some fun water. I've showed you guys how to do water like a dozen times. So we can press, let's actually turn on Ray Trace Reflections and press F9. And because I scaled this mountain down to a more normal size, this water probably should work. It won't be like obnoxious or anything. We hope it won't be obnoxious. I can be obnoxious sometimes. Overly, actually. Okay, so yeah, there we go. We got some nice water, kind of a flooded canyon thing going on here. You could put a boat in here. Obviously, it could use some anti-aliasing to smooth it out. One other thing, little nice effects you could do too, is you can turn on some fog. And one of the things we'll do is just kind of guess how far away that fog needs to be. I like to decrease the maximum amount. It's always too hot. And we'll make it like a nice, it's like a foggy haze day. Want to go warm or cool, right? It's a blue sky. Yeah, we'll go, let's kind of keep it cool. We'll keep it kind of a misty fog. Let's see what this looks like. Won't really know if I did it too much or too little until it actually shows up. And as you can see, I probably did it a little, maybe too much. Okay, so yeah, you're getting a little bit of atmosphere there. And if you want to accentuate the fact that this back here is more fog than this is up here, there is actually a setting here, minimum fog distance. You can set that to like, let's do like 40. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop the resolution down because our mighty 68064000 is getting beat up a little bit here. And then turn on some anti-aliasing too. And so what have we done now is we're going to push the minimum distance of the fog back. So it's going to clear, the fog is going to clear the camera a little bit so it's not so foggy. And it'll help exaggerate how foggy the stuff in the background is. Give it a little more depth, sense of depth. And now, of course, this is the anti-aliasing, which is smoothing out all the jaggies, which will help that water look a lot better. I know it likes to be jaggy, just like my personality when I don't eat. Okay, so there you go. It's if anything, it probably needs some more fog, but yeah, you get a nice, pretty water scene, canyon scene here, and because it's in Lightwave, the opportunities are endless now. Unlike VistaPro, you're not locked into things, and if you want to spend the time, you can get in here and you can texture this to look almost exactly like how it looks in VistaPro. You can go into Deluxe Paint or your preferred paint package, and you can create texture masks to say, I only want snow up here, I only want brown down here, and I only want green down here. You can do all that. I don't really have any of those ready to go for you, and that would make the video incredibly long. It's already pretty long, but I think I have like a fall-off map here. Let me see here. That's my fall-off sphere. Let's see if I have anything do I have anything for us? What is this? Fall-off sphere. Oh, that really is just a fall-off sphere, which is useful, but not anything I need right now. Yeah, so I don't really have anything that I was talking about. I don't think. I thought I might have, but... Oh, here we go, grad.jpg. So like this grad.jpg, you could go here and let's turn off anti-aliasing just to make this go faster. And we go back to the Mount St. Helens. For example, let's dump it into luminosity. And you're thinking I'm crazy, but we'll go here, grad, auto size it. I just want to see where it's falling on this object. That doesn't tell me anything, does it? So let's go to water and make it 100% dissolved. And let's get rid of the... Well, we won't get rid of it. Let's go here, and we're going to set this one to 0. We're going to add a new texture, because you can do layered textures in Lightwave, yes. We're going to go automatic size, press F9, so now all we should see is the gradient. Okay, so you can see with this already kind of looks neat. You've kind of got some stuff here, and then you've got some stuff here that's different than that. But using those kind of masks and those gradients is how you can differentiate stuff. So what you could do is we can go ahead and remove this texture. Let's see here. We're going to use this grad as a fall off. Okay, and then we're going to put this back to 100%. We're going to add a new texture, and we're going to do, actually, we're not even going to do anything. We're just going to do a grad with a fall off with those rocks, click use. But now we're going to go ahead and make the mountain actually like green or something, right? They're just white. So there we go, green mountain. So now if you press F9, so you can see what's happened there. That fall off texture is letting the texture map of those rocks come through. And then as we get away from it, it's going to that green we picked. Of course, I could just pick another image. Like, let's see, if we go to image, load. See, I'm getting a little carried away now. I'm getting too deep. I'm getting too deep. I'm going too far. This is what happens. Let's go back to landscapes. Do we have grass anywhere? Well, let's do, we got rubble. What is rubble? I mean, I know what rubble is. All right, let's do rubble. I don't have like grass or anything in here. Seriously, guys, I don't have grass. Does anybody have any grass, man? Don't have any grass. You're a guy who doesn't have any glass. Okay, so let's go back in here. So instead of green, we'll say add new texture, planar, rubble, Y, auto size. I have no idea what this rubble looks like. So because the other thing is on top of it, the texture of the stuff here, so that's rubble. I mean, it looks kind of like Rocky Mountain stuff. It's kind of look like VistaPro now. But look, we kind of lost our little duder guy here, right? The guy was before. So previous texture, I wonder if it stacks the other direction. So I wonder if I need to make this rubble and then go to this one and make it rocks and foliage. See, I'm learning as you guys are learning here, remembering how to do this. Does this actually stack it on top of it? Does it go the other direction? Yeah, so it goes the other direction. It goes, whatever is left or first is going to be on the bottom, and then everything comes after it. Okay, so now you've got like a nice little blend here. Now, if you want to, and go back to our hero image, we can turn our water back on. We'll turn our anti-aliasing back on. And we know that we could use some more fog, so I'm going to crank that up and make it a little closer to camera. And I think we should have a nice little happy VistaPro-like render, but in Lightwave, done fairly quickly, not too long of a process. And of course, when you have more time and all the time in the world to work on this, and you can do fun, cool, experimental things. But, you know, again, in Lightwave, there's so many more options than VistaPro. So to recap, DEM files, you can get them from VistaPro, Interchange Plus to do the conversion, and then you bring them into Modeler, for the case of Lightwave, to clean it up, fix it, and then you can go into Layout and do all this fun stuff that we did here. And there you go. Got your fun little landscape. Yay. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.